just as we were at break, some things took place. Josh Jacobs is going to be signing with the Green Bay Packers. One of the best out there, Josh Jacobs, leaves the Raiders and is now a member of the Packers. Offense with a young group of weapons, adding Josh Jacobs, a monster, to the squad.
This is a massive signing. The Packers' top three safeties from last season were all unrestricted free agents. Darnell Savage, Jonathan Owens, who is Simone Biles' husband, and then Rudy Ford. So the Packers go and land the top safety on the market. This guy played every single snap last year, has a knack for the ball. Jeff Hafley, their new defensive coordinator, is a proponent of, playing one high safety looks. To do that, you need a playmaking center fielder in the deep middle of that defense, and Xavier McKinney can do that better. Ty, you can attest to this than anyone since what? Micah Hyde, Nick Collins? When's the last guy they...
The Green Bay Packers have had the near-perfect offseason so far, adding a guy like Josh Jacobs who instantly makes them a better running football team, but also adds versatility in the pass game as well. And then defensively, you'll go out there and add the best safety on the market in Xavier McKinney, who is going to fit right into the new former Boston College defensive coordinator's defense over here in Green Bay. And I feel like they're just maybe a couple of pieces away from really taking a jump over that hump and maybe even competing for a Super Bowl next season. Now, a lot of you guys are probably like, listen, why didn't we go out and sign more people? Why didn't we bring in more guys? Why didn't we bring in more talent? Well, the thing is, you didn't need to, right? The Packers last season ranked number 8 in points per game under Jordan Love. Obviously, their pass offense was really, really good for the most part. Had one of the best offensive lines in football, ranking number 3 in QB sack percentage. They ranked number 9 in yards per pass attempt. Number 13 in pass yards per game. So obviously the offense is going to continue to get better as Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jayden Reed, and all of these guys continue to, build chemistry together and develop as football players, right? So the offense didn't need much of an upgrade. You also have 2 young tight ends, a brand new running back in Josh Jacobs, and then defensively, I felt like they were a couple of injuries away from being a top 5 defense last season, right? Obviously, need to get better on that run game, but again, health is important. As long as they can stay healthy next season, this team is going to be insane, right? Now, I do also love the fact they didn't go out there and spend money just to spend money, right? They didn't bring in 7 guys just to say, okay, let's just use all our cap space, and then going into next offseason, you have no cap space and 4 guys that don't even play, right? So I think they did good, right? Sometimes in the NFL, all you have to do is pick up guys that can play right away and be day one starters. And that is exactly what they did with Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. Now, in this video, I want to break down why they're setting up the absolute perfect draft strategy. And if it is executed right, they will be competing for a Super Bowl next season. Not only have we seen a massive uptick in performance by Jordan Love from the first half of the season to the second half of the season, but the Packers have been one of the best drafting teams I have ever seen. I mean, look at what they've done over the past 25 years in terms of competing, and then rebuilding, but not really rebuilding because they're just retooling. And then, losing a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and then boom, right back to the top. I mean, this team is insane. Let's break it all down. I'm going to show you guys why Jordan Love is only going to get better, but also what they're about to do here at the end of April for the draft is going to change everything for this organization. Now, let's start off by looking at a little bit of film from Jordan Love. Now, he is becoming a really good quarterback because he's taking the time watching film and understanding how to read defenses better, but also at the same time building chemistry with his guys. Now, before we get into this and before we actually talk about the draft situation as well and what they could do with their first round pick and even second round pick, do me a big favor, guys, hit the like button just so we can get this video out to more Packers fans around the world, but also subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is free. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and if you guys want more Packers videos like this, comment down below the number 1. But with that being said, let's jump into some of this film. So right away, you notice how Jordan Love is able to understand the pocket is very clean, right? A lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, when they don't see their first read getting open, they like to just scramble out to the right, scramble out to the left when you don't need to, right? The offensive line was number 3 last year in terms of sack percentage. You're going to have a clean pocket. So let's just stay in the pocket, right? Now, the one thing we're reading here on this play, boom, the safety. You see how he's a little bit flat-footed. You're going to have a vertical going a little bit, by him, right? Now, the one thing we're reading, is he going to chase or is he going to stay on this flat foot trajectory, right? So boom, let's get this back into action here. Drops back. You see how he's still flat-footed, backpedaling a little bit, but once this man, overcomes that, it's wide open, right? Boom, jumps or tries to get to it a little bit late, and Jordan Love has the insane accuracy to put it right over his head. I mean, look at that throw, man. Unbelievable. And like I'm telling you, he's starting to be able to read these defenses a lot more smoothly, right? He goes through his progressions, but also knows when you have one deep safety on the left side of the field and he's not really backpedaling, he's just staying flat-footed. We're going to beat that every single time down the field. Unbelievable throw. Jordan Love is just starting to hit his stride, and I'm scared to see what he's going to do next season. But that's not the only thing about Jordan Love. He's also figuring out ways to make just insane throws. Rolls out to the right, sees his wide receiver kind of fit into this little pocket of zone, right? Boom, look at this throw. You have a defender coming this way. You have a defender coming this way. The football can only be placed in one position here, and he puts it there. Unbelievable, right? He's starting to make these Pat Mahomes type of throws here, and once he does this consistently, I mean, how do you stop a guy like Jordan Love? I don't think you can. And then lastly, his development from being a play-action quarterback from, weeks 1 through 7 to, 8 through 16, 17, right? Even in the playoffs, the man has upgraded and just become so much better, so much more experienced. Watch the play action. He's going to roll it to the left side, but watch the difficulty of this throw. And it's not even like a long pass or anything. It is just, you're rolling out, you're off your back foot, throwing crossbody. I mean, dude, the difficulty of this throw is a 10 out of 10. This is insane. You have a defender right on your tight end's hip. If you put this a little bit behind him, it's an interception for a touchdown, right? But he puts it in the perfect spot. Dude, I'm telling you, he's becoming incredible as a quarterback. And now you go into an offseason where you add a day one starting running back with Josh Jacobs. You add a day one safety, the best safety on the market, young, hungry, and still developing, alongside Eric Stokes and Jair Alexander and Keyshawn Nixon, right? I really do like this team, but what do they need to do in the NFL draft? You comment down below right now. What do you think is the biggest position of need? Before I jump into it, what do you think it is? But now, with that being said, with the development of Jordan Love, let's see what they need to do in the draft. Now, when we take a look at the stats, it becomes clear where they really need to be or get some upgrades, right? Offensively, they looked good last year. Number 8 in points per game, number 7 in touchdowns per game. The running game already got improved with Josh Jacobs. And then wide receiver room is very, very young. Even the tight end room, very, very, very young. You don't need to upgrade in those positions at all. And they rank number 3 in QB sack percentage. So not only do they have young weapons who are developing, but they have a young offensive line who was number 3 last year in letting up sacks. So amazing, right? You don't really need to improve too much. But when you get to the defensive side of things, number 13 in points allowed per game, not too bad. But then when you get to the running game, they were allowing 4.5 yards per carry, 127 yards per game on the ground, and basically a rushing touchdown per game, right? So you obviously need to upgrade those categories specifically, but also in the pass game as well. 28th in interception percentage, 12th in sack percentage, 13 in pass yards allowed per game, 18th in yards allowed per pass. And then you look at the defense overall and you say, it's not really that bad. Still needs to develop a little bit with Devontae Wyatt and a couple of other guys like Quay Walker. I think these guys are going to continue to get better, as well as just you need to be healthy, right? But I do think there are 2 glaring needs for this football team, and I think you'll be able to, cement them in this draft. That cornerback, I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of good cornerbacks in this draft that you can really steal. We're going to talk about 2 of those in just a second. And I also believe the safety position, I don't know if you guys trust Anthony Johnson here. I think he can become a good player with some development in the offseason here. But you could also add a day one starting safety in this draft as well. And then I feel like defensively, you are ready to go, man. Offensively, maybe you want to add some depth on your line. I think that could be something you could really, really do. Maybe get a tackle, some interior linemen. But I think there is only 3 positions of need for the Packers, and that is massive when you look at the NFL drafts. You're not sitting here like, okay, we need to add like 6 new players, 6 new starters. No, they barely need 2 starters. They're in such a prime position to absolutely just destroy this draft.
I got to tell you something. Green Bay, I could argue over the last 25 years, has done a better job than anybody in this league drafting and developing. They've had different GMs, different coaches. They nail quarterbacks, great O-line. They always always find receivers and tight ends.
Alright, so in this video, I wanted to primarily break down a couple of guys they could go out there and draft that will most likely be available for them at their selection. So I'm going to do that. I'm not really going to go too much in depth, but if you guys want a part 2 where I actually break down individual film of these players, comment down below saying more draft film, and I'll make sure to do that. But the first guy I have on my list here is Cooper DeJean. I mean, this dude is a stud. He is dealing with a little bit of injury history. I believe he broke his fibula, but now he's going to be working out April 8th for a bunch of NFL teams, and I do think the Packers should be one of them. The Packers have, I believe, the 25th pick overall in the first round and could definitely acquire a guy like Cooper DeJean. When you look at his strengths, starting experience as strong safety and cornerback. So right away, you look at the glaring need in the secondary. You need a corner, but you also need a safety as well. He could play either or. So right away, you talk about versatility, someone who can do either or, right? Explosive athlete, hitting markers in height, weight, and speed. So overall, has good size for an NFL corner or even a safety as well. Instinctive in zone coverage, ready to feast on quarterbacks with poor eye discipline, right? You're in a division with the Vikings, who are most likely going to have a young quarterback, with the Bears, a young quarterback, right? So you get what I'm saying here. We talk about a division who he could be able to come in here and feast right away. Great ball skills of a receiver. He's going to be able to force turnovers, maybe even get some pick sixes. Charges hard, slams into pass catchers, making sure every catch is, slightly difficult for them to make. But I think he can also provide some depth here just along this secondary. We looked at what one of their biggest needs, I believe it is in the secondary right now. But I think Cooper DeJean's a guy who you look at right away. You look at his production score, 87, second among all DBs. If you're able to get a guy like him, man, you really are improving your football team. But not only him is available. The next guy I have on my list here is Jayden Hicks. Now, this is not a first-round pick. I think he's more of a second-round draft pick. Now, this would be another interesting guy. Let's say they wanted to go in a different direction with their first-round pick. Let's say they didn't want to go Cooper DeJean, the versatile, safety, DB, cornerback, right? Let's say they went offensive line, okay? Let's say they go O-lineman here. In the second round, you can bring in a day one starter in Jayden Hicks, or he could be a developmental guy who you wait a year or two to bring in. He is a guy who is, very underrated in my aspect. They rank him as number 7th overall, but I'd put him at like number 4 or 5. Honestly, I think if you get this guy, I think he has insane potential to be very, very good in the NFL. Now, again, when you look at the strengths, great NFL size. I think something that is something I noticed throughout the entirety of watching, their games. Has good closing out bursts to play the ball and tackle in the alley. Takes playmaking angles on throws, which is really well. Again, you can lead to interceptions. You want to force a turnover. We go back to their interception percentage. They were ranking, 28th, almost dead last in interception percentage. So again, you talk about another guy here who is able to play on the ball and get a lot of interceptions. I think that could be huge, right? Can phase deep routes and play with the throw, or play the throw with awareness and timing. Good. Again, need that here in Green Bay. Keeps outside shoulder clean when playing the container role. Hurries from the play side, high safety look to make plays near the line versus the run. I mean, I think all of his strengths are something that could fit in here perfectly with the Green Bay Packers. And I think if you get him in the second round, you're getting a steal. Now, here's another potential first round selection for Green Bay. Edgerrin Cooper, man, this dude is an absolute dog. Loves the game of football, right? When you're scouting NFL players or potential NFL players, you look at one thing. Do they care about the money, or do they care about winning football games and playing with the team, right? Edgerrin Cooper is the guy who, he loves football. This man wants to win. He wants to win every single play. He wants to run every single rep, and he wants to compete for Super Bowls, man. Edgerrin Cooper is an outstanding addition. First in total score at the 2024 Combine. A guy, if you take in the first round, you're immediately getting better. He plays each snap with an unbridled passion and intensity. Like we said, this man loves the game of football, and that is so much more important than a guy who's like, okay, you know what? I have a God-given ability to play football, so let me go get my bag. Let me go get some money and not really care too much about it. This guy has worked so hard to get to where he's at, and he just wants to win, man. Very good tackler, possesses elite long speed to walk down his tackle targets. Again, good angles, Terrific job at sniffing out screens, spying on athletic quarterbacks. Again, Caleb Williams. You talk about maybe the Vikings going out there and getting a guy like Michael Penix who just ran a 4.5, right? There's a lot of guys that could be in this division that maybe could scramble depending on what the Vikings do, right? Good blitzer, can drop back into zone skills or zones as well, and just a good striker, man. I think this guy could be the perfect first-round draft pick. And then you talk about, the guy we said in the last part, right? You bring in the safety. I think there's multiple directions they could go in, but the number one thing, what makes this such an easy draft class for them, is the fact that they're not going out there looking for 7 brand new starters. They're looking for maybe 1 or 2, and then from there, you can just draft best available player, which makes your life as a GM, as a coach, so much easier. And 2, another thing is, the Packers are known for being one of the best drafting teams in football. I mean, when have they been a bad football team? Maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe, right? Just like that, they're back on top looking to compete for a Super Bowl next season, a couple years after losing, or a year after losing Aaron Rodgers. That is literally insane, guys. But let me know in the comments down below. Give me a couple of names. Who do you think they should go out there and draft? Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.